Hey everybody, welcome to this 5-Minute Friday edition of the Hope is Not a Plan podcast, where I'm going to do a 5-minute guide to imperturbability. And if you listen to the full episode through at least an hour of the leadership lessons from Gettysburg, you will have heard my example of how Ulysses S was imperturbable. He sat whittling wood while people were shooting all around him. This big pane of glass fell right after he had moved out of the chair. Then he dusted it off and said, okay, let's go. He was just really able to control his emotions, and it's hard to do. I'm a parent. I'm 50 years old. I've been through a lot of stuff, especially recently and in the past. And just like you all, we would love to be imperturbable and control our emotions all the time, be able to chill. But that doesn't happen on its own. And we have to put the work in, because hope is indeed not a plan. Welcome to the Hope is Not a Plan podcast, where we address tough questions head on, face our problems, and highlight our hopes by providing actionable planning steps to improve ourselves, mind, body, and spirit. Now, let's get logged in and get locked on to this episode of the Hope is Not a Plan podcast. Welcome back, everybody. If you haven't, please visit hopeisnotaplan.org, Apple, Spotify. You can subscribe, all that good stuff. Now, let's get to why you hit play. I have had challenges with imperturbability throughout my life in recent months, a lot of emotions up and down. And it comes back to a couple of the things I've talked about as a pillar. In fact, pillar 2, mindfulness. And then a couple other options, right? Pillar 7, faith. And then this other thing, stoicism. So I'm going to share these three things, my 2 cents, how I've used them, how I reflect on them, and how I believe you can to help you control your emotions. At work, I'm known as the guy with kind of normal face, as Jocko Willink calls it. But folks are like, man, like you look so serious, but it's detaching from the emotions at work. At home, it's much harder for me to do, right? With my kids, with my spouse, back and forth, all that. So the first thing to me is, one, it's important to stay calm in emergencies. And that's an area from my past as a corpsman and a firefighter and EMS captain that I'm pretty good at. In the immediate, I'm very fact driven and do this or that. But in day-to-day life, it's kind of hard to do. Someone's rude, all that stuff. So let's talk about the first thing, mindfulness. I call this pillar 2 of the 7 pillars of balance in life. And so taking time to detach from stuff, to sit on your own, to take breaths, to focus on your body, to listen to what's around, to close your eyes. 10 minutes a day is what I do. It's very helpful. And it is worth every minute that you put into it, because the other side of that is you learn how to calm yourself down. If you can't sleep, you learn how to kind of take nice breaths and calm your mind. And that carries over to every other part of your life throughout the day. So it's not a flip a switch and do it. It's an overtime thing. So I can't urge enough, start mindfulness ASAP. Stoicism is another thing. And it's the principle of logic over emotion, which again is super hard to do. And it's ancient philosophy. And there's some core principles that have to do your thoughts and your actions, right? So if we let those emotions come in and take over, we have to remember it's a wave of emotion that doesn't necessarily push us toward rational thought, right? And what you can take away from Stoicism, if anything, there's so many good books on it. Check out the Daily Stoic too. A good resource is to focus on your own actions and reactions, right? You can't control the outcome of everybody else. And so don't try to. And that's really hard to do. For me as a parent, it's a challenge with boys getting older and screen time and responsibilities and going back and forth. And it's something to try and detach and step back and go, okay, I'm getting emotional, but am I focusing on showing a good example of my emotions when I'm telling them not to get emotional? You know what I mean? And so Stoicism to me perfectly illustrates how we can do better at that. This other one is hard. It's been a challenge for me. I've gone back and forth, and it's faith, right? It's faith. And I heard this on, and I love the show, The Chosen. It's a great historical show. It's emotional. It's the story of Jesus Christ, and it's just a really well put together show. But Matthew, one of the disciples, mentioned, it's easy, as Jesus told me, I just have to, give in to believing in God, and he'll take care of the rest. So he can detach that way, right? And it can be what your faith is. If you can not hold on to trying to controlling everything and saying, you know what? Look at the world. I can't control the weather. I can't control what people do on the other side of the world in my neighborhood. I can look out for my own. I can take action and get up and get after it. I can protect my family as a human, but I can't control the way of the world entirely. And that there's a lot of release in that. And for me, in dealing with either depressive or anxious modes or just stress, faith has really helped me with that. And it's also an eye-opener when you dig into it and you look at the miracle we are as humans that I've talked about, 1 in a trillion or 1 in some huge number. To me, that can't just be chance. And so 3 areas that I urge you all to focus on if you're having trouble with your imperturbability, meaning controlling your emotions, is mindfulness, stoicism, and faith. And they can be a mix of these things. You can't do one and not the other, right? And so as a call to action, look into these. Check out the Headspace app. No affiliation. I love it. It's easy. It's good guided. Or look on YouTube. I actually have a guided meditation thing on YouTube. Just some simple steps, 9 steps on the Hope Is Not a Plan YouTube channel. Look into Stoicism. Check out the Daily Stoic. There's really good sayings and philosophies. Check out Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. Really cool read. And then faith. Explore yours, right? See what works for you. Look at those for me. And so I'll close with a quote from Grant, who stated, quote, "There is no great sport in having bullets flying about one in every direction, but I find they have less horror when among them than when in anticipation. This speaks to that emotional wave, anticipating bad things, as opposed to being in the moment. Mindfulness helps with that. Stoicism helps you look at the practical over the emotional, and faith helps you offload a lot of that stress to something bigger than you." Thank you for helping make this show bigger and continue to grow. Please, again, visit hopeisnotaplan.org. I have planning resources, past episodes, the resources on books and products and supplements that I used for those 7 pillars, so you can get healthier and stronger and practice some of these things I just talked about. Follow me on @HopesNotAPlan on Twitter and Instagram. There's a Hope Is Not a Plan YouTube channel, creeping up on that 440,000 views, doing fitness 15 seconds at a time. And check out the Facebook page. Thank you all very much. Stay safe. Try to be imperturbable today. And I wish you all Godspeed.